Hi guys, welcome to Movie Outline. Today I will tell you a romantic drama film entitled Endless. Prepare yourself and enjoy. On Clear Lake, California, there is a girl who likes to sit on the pier and draw. Her name is Riley. She is the only daughter of Richard and Helen. To her, the new year wasn't so clear-cut. She graduated second in class, did an internship with the d3ad, and applied to her parents' alma mater at Georgetown University. But most importantly, now that she's started dating Chris, an old school guy who just graduated, his parents have been divorced for a long time, so he lives alone with his mother. He also really likes classic motorbikes and often spends time with them. Riley is totally hooked on him, she can be herself around him and he knows Riley is like that. They were in love, spending time together on the pier and always trying to make each other smile.
Only good?
One day, she seemed restless pacing in her room after reading a letter from Georgetown University. Not because she was rejected, but because she was accepted by the university. She realized that she was going to be away from Chris and she didn't like that. Not long after, Chris came to pick her up on a motorbike. They were planning to go to Julia's party tonight. Riley's parents didn't really like Chris because they hoped that Chris would come pick up Riley by car. Upon arriving at the party, Julia invites Riley on stage and congratulates her as she will soon be leaving for East Georgetown for an internship with the district attorney there for 5 weeks. Chris immediately heads out of the party, disappointed that Riley never told him about this. He thought that Riley would pursue her talent for drawing. But Riley told him it was just a hobby and she had already decided she would pursue a career as a lawyer. Chris went back inside and started drinking heavily. After that, Riley borrowed Nate's car to take Chris home because he was too drunk. In the car, Chris says that this is not Riley's wish but her parents' wish. He tries to convince Riley by saying that he loves her very much. But before Riley could answer, their car crashed and they were taken to the hospital. The next morning, Riley, who just woke up from his stupor, asked where Chris was now, even though he was right beside her but she couldn't see him. Chris panicked and shouted for her. Then her parents replied that she had been in an accident and Chris didn't survive. Hearing that, Chris was reminded of the accident. Suddenly he teleported to the morgue to see his mother, who was crying looking at the corpse. He was very confused and still couldn't accept the fact that he was dead. Then he ran aimlessly and stopped at a crossroads. There he meets Jordan, a man who died 30 years ago. He assures him that he is dead. He also says that in the spirit realm they will never feel hungry or thirsty and will never grow old. But Chris didn't get any answer when he asked why they were still in this world now. He told him about the manner in which he died. He said that he died in a robbery tragedy. While he was busy giving guidance to Chris, he realized that Chris had left someone behind. He said that Chris should stop caring about them because that would make things better. After that, he left Chris. At home, Riley watches a video to reminisce about her time with him. She smiled when she remembered that Chris really didn't like sushi. Then Richard came with a detective. He asked a few things about the accident she had, but unfortunately she doesn't really remember what happened. She just said that the driver of the car in front of her suddenly stopped but the brake light didn't come on. After that, Richard asked the detective to leave immediately. That night, Julia and Nate came to cheer her up. Riley said that she had texted Chris last night, but even worse, she was waiting for a reply. She still couldn't believe that everything had happened so quickly. Julia tried to reassure her that she would get better soon. After that, they went home because Riley asked for some alone time. Riley was crying alone while hugging Chris's Hokie team shirt. Suddenly, Chris came to accompany her but Riley still couldn't see him. The next morning, Detective Jenkins comes again to question Riley, but this time Richard won't let him. Then he gave a cell phone that he found at the accident site which turned out to be Riley's. Richard said that Riley should consider her statement and remember what Chris did at that time. They were only worried about the effects she would receive after this incident. After that, she left the house to meet Lee. But when she got there, Lee looked very unhappy with her arrival. She said that she was currently busy taking care of Chris's funeral. She had tried calling Chris's dad for help but there was no answer. Then Riley said that her family could help her. She also apologized that she was the one driving the car. At the funeral, everyone Chris knew came to attend, but Chris didn't see his father there. He thought maybe his father was too busy with his work that he couldn't attend his funeral. Then Jordan suddenly appeared and took him into the middle of the hockey arena where the match was taking place. Chris was amazed to see the excitement of the audience. Then he became silent after seeing a father who was watching the game with his son. Suddenly they teleport to a random place. Chris was surprised that he had now moved again to an unfamiliar place. Jordan said that their teleportation abilities were influenced by thoughts, so he asked what Chris was thinking. He was just silent and then left after seeing the motorbike in the garage. Now he moved to the lake to see Riley, who was drawing. Riley complimented the picture saying that you looked good. Then Chris replied to her words like they used to do before.
Only good?
She was very surprised because she thought she heard Chris's voice, and she started talking as if Chris was with her. She said that she heard his voice every day wherever she went. And pretending that he wasn't gone was really great. Chris returned to reply to her words until it made her a little scared. She looked around to make sure there was someone nearby, but she couldn't find anyone there. She became very sad because she thought that she had lost her mind. Then she tried again to do the same thing and Chris returned her words. After that, Chris met Jordan and told him about his new ability. But he just laughed because he had never experienced it. He said that the absolute rule of death was not being able to communicate with life. Then he took Jordan to Nate's place to prove it. He tried calling Nate, who was sleeping, but he didn't hear him. Jordan laughed at him again, but this time he tried to pretend that Chris was telling the truth. Then he said maybe what happened to Chris was a special ability because he has a very strong connection with Riley. Elsewhere, Riley and Julia are getting ready to watch a hockey game, because today is Chris's team game day. Everyone looked at Riley cynically, but Riley had already decided that he had to do this. When the game starts, a player suddenly appears using Chris's number. Then Riley panicked because she wasn't sure what she was seeing. Julia said that he purposely used the number to honor Chris, but that wasn't enough to calm her down. The longer the match went on, the more restless she became. She kept thinking about Chris and the accident they had. Seeing Riley's behavior like that, Julia was worried and she immediately took her home. At home, Riley asked his parents for approval to make a statement that Riley sent a message during the accident. Richard didn't allow it because he thought it was just an expression of guilt and he didn't want Riley in jail for this matter. Riley was arguing with him because she did feel guilty and she wanted to make amends for her mistakes, and then she left in front of them. In her room, she finds out about the activities of the spirits and the strange things she experiences. She found an article that said that 21% of people had heard the voice of their dead loved one, 3% felt touch, and they sometimes appeared in significant locations. She was reminded of the videotape she had. The video shows her being with Chris in front of the locker. She immediately goes there to prove it. When she got there, she just did some obscure stuff and didn't look at Chris, but after she drew his face on the glass door, he suddenly appeared in front of her. Riley was so moved, she didn't expect that her imagination would feel so real. She could even feel the touch of Chris's hand. But Chris refuted what she said. He said that this is not imagination. He told her something she couldn't possibly know. He told her to take the watch he buried behind his house. But before she agreed to his request, the janitor came to see her and Chris disappeared immediately. The next morning, Riley notices a change in her face, but she doesn't care. Then Detective Jenkins came back to get Riley's affidavit and all was well. After that, she went with her friends to have dinner at a Japanese restaurant. Nate was behaving very strangely. He poured a glass of sake, which made Julia angry. She says that this is not a good time to get drunk. Then suddenly Nate offends Riley. He thinks that she lied to the police for her statement. Riley admits it, but she does it because she wants to protect Nate, who's too lazy to fix his car that shouldn't be roadworthy. Nate was silent. Then when Riley ate her food, she felt as nauseous as Chris did. After that, she went home. She took a shovel to prove what Chris said. She went behind Chris's house secretly and started digging there. She felt ridiculous about what she was doing, but after continuing to dig, she found the watch. Then she went to the garage trying to draw Chris's face again, and he appeared in front of her. Now she is sure that everything she is experiencing right now with Chris is real. She asked Chris to kiss her, but before he did, Lee came to catch her. In the morning, Lee came to her house to ask for an explanation of what she was stuffing behind her house last night. Then she said that she just took a watch that was buried there, and that was told by Chris. After that, she asked her to stay away from her life because when she saw her, she always remembered Chris. Elsewhere, Jordan is very curious about Chris's abilities. Then he took him to an old lady's place to try it. He asked him to show how this ability could work. Chris says the way it works is with something to share, and for him that's the image Riley creates. Then Jordan remembered that she always played the piano for him every 7 o'clock in the evening. Meanwhile, Chris goes to a random place as he moves from the hockey arena. Turns out it was the house of his father, who had left him with his mother. He said he was fine even though he didn't hear it. He also questions the reason why he left. After that, Chris left there and Jordan came back to him in a sad state. He said that he should focus on getting past this level and stop communicating with Riley. But Chris got angry. He thought that Jordan was jealous of his ability. He also asked what exactly is holding him back in this world, as he isn't someone who's been stuck for 30 years doing the same thing over and over again. Hearing that, Jordan felt very offended and he immediately left Chris. After that, they got worse. Riley kept drawing and Chris kept coming. Their love is too strong. They are completely unaware of the effect they are receiving, either for Riley or for Chris. In the midst of that intimacy, Julia suddenly called her. She said that Nate was in a mess near the police station. Then she and Julia came straight to him. Nate says he wants to turn himself into the police. He feels so guilty about the accident. He also agrees with Riley, saying that he should fix his car. But Riley denies it. She says that he doesn't have to do this and this is not what Chris wants. Then she took them to the lake. She tried to call Chris the way she usually does, though Julia doubted it. After finishing drawing, Chris appeared in front of them. But Julia and Nate can't see him. Julia thinks that Riley has gone too far. She scolds her and ends the activity. She reminds her that Chris is dead. She also said before she got help she didn't want to see her. After that she left them both. The next day, Jordan suddenly appeared in front of Chris and immediately hit him. He said that Chris knew about all this. But in fact Chris did not understand. He tried to calm him down and asked him to explain what he meant. Then Jordan told him about his past when he was alive. He said that's where it all started. At that time he was ordered by his aunt to take care of his niece named Alicia in Christmas Village. Then Alicia asked permission to play and he allowed it. He had warned her not to go too far, but he didn't pay attention and he ended up losing her. He had tried to look for her but he couldn't find her. Chris was saddened by the incident but said he still didn't understand what the problem had to do with him. Then Jordan took him to the old woman's house they had visited before. Turns out she was his aunt, and now that she's dead, Chris asks why he hasn't seen her spirit, and Jordan replied that she passed this level just like what happens to most dead people. He also said that the connection they made was not free, there was a high price to pay, namely life. He tells Chris to stop seeing Riley immediately if he doesn't want to end up like his aunt. Then he told the truth about the manner in which he died. He said that he did not die because he was shot by robbers. After they found Alicia's body, he went home. Then he untied his belt and hung himself in the room. Then he reminds Chris again to stop seeing Riley because she still has a future and it's not his to take. On the dock, Riley was still drawing to call Chris, and he came as usual but this time not to make her smile. He says that he will go away from her as this makes her sicker. She just cries and asks him not to go. She also said absurd things and thought of bringing Chris back to life. But Chris insists that he killed her. After that he hugged her then disappeared. In the next scene, Detective Jenkins comes again. He informed Riley of new developments regarding the accident case. He said he had studied the driver of the car she hit 9 days before her accident. He got a ticket in Texas for a broken brake light. So far he couldn't prove that he had the brake light fixed. So if he can't provide that proof then all things will be considered equal and he will close the case. Meanwhile, Jordan is lecturing Chris on his decision. He said that Chris was still here not because of Riley, but because of himself. Chris was reminded of something he had overlooked. He immediately visited his father and poured out all his complaints. He hoped that his father would have a good life and not leave his current family again. Then the father seemed to hear Chris's words and he went straight to his grave. Riley, her health is getting worse. She goes to Julia and thanks her for being her friend. She also leaves the same word for Nate to her. Then she went straight to the lake while coughing. At home, Richard and Helen panicked not to find Riley in her room. They became even more panicked after knowing that Julia was also not with her. Riley continued to run through the darkness until she reached the shore of the lake. She kept shedding tears as she remembered all the memories she had with Chris. Then she walked into the middle of the lake and drowned herself. Chris suddenly appeared in front of her. She said that he came back to her, but Chris denied it, because she was the one who came to him and she shouldn't be there with him. Then Chris carried her back to the ground. Riley asked him to let her go with him, but he says no. He always tries not to act like his father who has left the people he loves. He was so scared that he couldn't see the truth. She asks really what he means, then he replies that they have to move on. And he also asks Riley to stay alive for his sake. Then she immediately woke up after being rescued by paramedics. In her semi-conscious state, she could still hear Chris's voice asking her to open a box in his garage. In the next scene, everything starts to return to normal. Jordan said that he could have joined Chris but he was fine here. He also thanked him for everything. Meanwhile, today Riley looks very fresh. She is still drawing but this time with a different purpose. She went to see Lee and gave her a graphic novel she had written. Then she opened the box in the garage according to Chris's request. It turned out that in the box there was a letter written by Chris before he died. In the letter he asked Riley to keep being herself because she was born to be. He knew maybe this didn't mean there were many people like him coming, but maybe it meant something coming from Riley herself. The next day, she went to Georgetown University. There she asked the advisor to change her program to become a fine arts student. She is a little surprised by Riley's request but she agrees and then the movie ends. Subscribe and like to help this channel grow. Thanks for watching.